Daisy and Tom meet after Gatsby leaves for the war. And although Daisy wants to marry Gatsby, Tom is rich and so is Daisy, so it makes perfect sense for them to get married. On the day that Daisy and Tom are supposed to get married, Daisy receives a letter that is assumed to be from Gatsby. After she reads this letter, she has a complete meltdown and rips off the string of pearls that Tom gave to her. After this, she quotes, "Take 'em downstairs and give 'em back to whoever they belong to. Tell 'em all Daisy's changed her mind.
That you'll kiss me forever."
Even after her meltdown, though, Daisy still agreed to marry Tom and went through with the ceremony.
That you never leave me, be mine for always.
After they got married, they had a daughter together, and her name was Pammy.
Forever.
Daisy seemed very in love with Tom, but shortly after they got married, Tom began to have affairs with other women. As the novel progresses, you can see just how unhappy Daisy and Tom are in their relationship. With Tom's affairs that he keeps having, it's clear that he doesn't truly love Daisy, and Daisy's love for Gatsby that's undying is clear that she doesn't want to be with Tom.
That you'll kiss me forever.
Despite all of their troubles, for the sake of their reputation, they stay together and don't get a divorce, so that they can keep their good name with the old money. Far into the book, Gatsby tries to get Daisy to tell Tom that she's never loved him, but she can't because that's not true. She does love him, but she also loves Gatsby. To quote Nick about Daisy and Tom's relationship, they weren't happy, but they weren't unhappy either. They were careless people, Tom and Daisy. They smashed up things and creatures and then retreated back into their money or their vast carelessness or whatever it was that kept them together and let other people clean up the mess that they had made.
Tell me that you.
After everything that they go through in the novel, Daisy and Tom end the novel still together in their relationship. They leave everything behind them and continue on with their careless lives.
That you love me, that you never leave me, be mine for always. I'll be yours forever.
To represent Daisy and Tom's relationship with my makeup, I tried to go with a dark color scheme to represent the unhappiness that Daisy felt with Tom. For my eyes, I wanted to darken them and give them a sort of hollowed out look because I feel like Daisy's kind of empty with Tom. She's very unhappy. For the face, instead of actual powdered highlighter, I used loose pearls to represent the pearls that she broke before their wedding during her little meltdown.
Forever.
With the lips, I chose the color red to represent the anger that she feels towards Tom, and I added little stitches type things to stitch my mouth closed to represent her not speaking up about wanting to leave Tom whenever Gatsby asks her to. Also, instead of wearing a pearl necklace, I wore a chain as a necklace to represent how Daisy is kind of chained to Tom because she'll stay with him no matter what. Years before the novel begins, Gatsby and Daisy meet in Louisville. Because of the way that Gatsby acted and held himself, Daisy thought that he was someone of her wealth and class. Gatsby and Daisy fell madly in love, but soon after he had to leave for the war. Daisy promised to wait for him, but after he returned from the war, Daisy had already been married to Tom. But before he had returned to the US after the war, he had written a letter to Daisy that had made her almost rethink marrying Tom. This helps readers understand that Daisy is clearly still in love with Gatsby, and she's just with Tom for the wealth and status. Gatsby knew that one of the reasons that Daisy had to move on from him was because he wasn't wealthy, so he decided to get into some business, and he became wealthy. Despite Daisy and Tom being married now, Gatsby still thought that his relationship with Daisy was endgame. So whenever he bought his house, he made sure that it was across the water from Daisy's. Whenever Gatsby and Daisy reunite, their meeting is very emotional. You can tell by the way that they act around each other in this first meeting that they are still very much so in love with each other. Specifically Gatsby, because he has been obsessing over her for the past couple of years. As the book progresses, Daisy and Gatsby begin to have an affair. Gatsby tries to get Daisy to tell Tom that she wants a divorce and that she never loved him, but Daisy cannot do that because yes, she does love Gatsby, but she also loves Tom. Gatsby is still devoted to Daisy, despite her rejecting him. This causes him to take the blame for a crime that she committed, which leads to his tragic death in the end. To represent Daisy and Gatsby's relationship with makeup, I used light colors and I tried not to make a lot of harsh lines because I wanted this to be a more youthful type of aesthetic and less harsh than the first look, since they did meet when they were younger. On my eyes, I used an eyeshadow called Smoldering Satin to represent the fabrics that they were looking at whenever they were looking through Gatsby's clothes in the scene where Daisy cries about what could have been. Along with that, to represent the same scene, I made tears on my face and I put blue glitter in them to represent her crying over the wealth and the glamour of his life that she could have shared with him. On my face, you can't really tell, but for highlighter, I used a green tinted highlighter to represent the green light that Gatsby always reaches out to. On my neck, I put the letter that Gatsby wrote to Daisy right before her wedding, and I also put some flowers in there. The letter was because it chokes her up. Whenever she's about to have her wedding, she starts to cry when she's reading it. And the flowers are because of whenever they met again for the first time, and Gatsby ordered all of those flowers. So that is how I viewed Daisy's relationships with Tom and Gatsby through makeup.